Hello and welcome to StroongeCast episode 36.
Childhood memories.
That's right. In episode 32, we discussed childhood terrors, those nightmarish fiends of dreams that took us to bad and scary places, but hopefully this time won't be quite as terrifying. So, there was just a big bang outside. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think it was a revving, like a car rev or something.
It was just
like
super loud.
Mm.
Scared me a little bit. So that was a non-childhood terror. Anyway, how's your week? How's it been? What's going on?
It's been a quiet week, to be honest. I think I've been recovering from last Saturday night when we had our Eurovision party
That was
at my
good.
parents' house. It was good. We had lots of food. We watched Eurovision. You fell asleep through
Big
quite
time.
a lot of it.
Yep.
And
I ate more. I probably ate my weight in meat.
you did eat a lot of meat, ribs and chicken and prawns.
Not enough prawns.
You ate most of them. Poor Jake only got like 3 out of a whole pack.
Like I said, not enough prawns. They were amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so that late night just kind of
Took
took
it out of
of
us,
me.
didn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Been, yeah, nothing majorly exciting. Oh, we've just had the week of on and off, no hot water.
Yeah, I was
no
going to mention
flushing
that if you didn't.
toilet,
Mhm.
you know, all that annoying stuff. But never mind.
That's what happens with planned maintenance. But the planned maintenance that did not tell all of the people living that
No.
would suffer with the planned
Only the
maintenance.
people inside the block, not the like little houses on the outside of the block that can't
Right.
see the inside of the block.
Yeah, explain it to the listeners because there's a sign, isn't there?
Yeah, so we live in, if you imagine a block of flats, but there's on the outside, I guess, front doors for the bottom. So we have like a little house, I guess, but it's built within the block of flats. Little masonette house, so 2 floors. And then there's flats above us and there's more little houses along, but we're all part of the same block. So we all have the same hot water and heating feed that comes from is it like a really big tank, isn't it?
Somewhere.
Yes, or something.
Yeah.
And they were doing planned work this week, but they only put signs up on the inside communal areas for the flats that are all above us.
Yes.
Nothing through our door or anywhere that we could see. We don't have access to the inside because we don't need to.
Nope.
So that's been, a bit ridiculous, a bit frustrating that actually it says, because we do have a friend who lives inside. So you were able to speak to him, weren't you? And
Yeah,
he sent a
got the
copy
information.
of it. And it's, 8 till 4 potentially every day this week. But as we have discovered, each day has been completely different. We had one day when the toilet wasn't working for hours. We've had the water not coming back on. The other evening, it was 10 o'clock.
Someone was very angry about this.
Jake was livid, absolutely livid, because the kids come home. Alice has a shower and then she's all done and he has a shower before bed. So poor Alice had a cold sort of shower wash because she needed to wash her hair and she felt, grotty after school. So she did it. And then Jake waited and we thought, it'll come back before 10, it'll be fine. It didn't. So we managed to persuade him that he should just have like a bit of a wash in the sink with, some boiled water or whatever, which he did very begrudgingly because he hated it and kept going on about how he was going to sue them.
Yeah, he did actually. It was quite funny.
And he does not get angry, does he?
Nah, not really.
He's so laid back about everything. He just can't be bothered. So he just doesn't get angry, but he was so annoyed. And he'd had his wash. We were all going upstairs because it was bedtime. Alice went in the bathroom to wash her hands, came out and said, the water's back. And I thought he was going to explode. He was so cross. He marched into the bathroom and had a proper shower and was still going on about it.
That's quite funny. Not for him, but for me.
Not for him. It amused us.
But the thing is, childhood memories. That is a memory that I have. I used to wash in the sink because we did not have a working shower. We had a bath with taps, but
you don't always have time for
didn't have a proper shower head.
Yeah.
So I was a sink washer every day of my life, every single day. And our sink was big those days in the 80s, big bathroom sinks, good size sinks. So that was my whole life. I thought nothing of it. If I had to go back to that, I'd be maybe annoyed, but I'd get over it.
Do you remember when we moved into Gloucester House, there was no shower. There was only the bath.
Yeah.
And it took a few weeks before we were able to install the shower.
Yep.
And that was so annoying.
Yes.
Having to just have a bath.
Well, because the tank in that place was crap too.
That's true. There wasn't much hot
If
water.
you had hot water for the day, you're done.
Yeah.
One bath, that's it. No hot water until the
that
next
was
day.
really rubbish. So we put the electric shower in, didn't we? And then that was fine.
We did.
But I also remember because when we moved in, I was pregnant. And so as I got bigger and bigger and bigger, having a bath was so
harder.
hard because it was really hard to get back out of the bath because I was so hugely pregnant.
Youch.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's been most of our week, really, hasn't it?
Yes. Mine has been basically much of the same, so
Yeah.
I don't even need to add to it. But yeah,
No.
I mean, it does segue nicely into memories because, as I say, that's one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you did that sometimes at home, but not as often.
Yeah, we did have a shower, so that was fine. But I mean, we did in the mornings, like for primary school, you know, when we were younger and stuff. I remember having, it'd be quicker to just have a quick wash in the morning, bath at night. But whenever the boiler gave up, and it would take, it's not like now where usually it's quite quick for them to come out and fix things. Sometimes it would take a little while, so we would all have to, have a sink wash with, boiling kettles or again and again and again. And that was when I learnt that you shouldn't put boiled kettle
straight
pour
into
in,
porcelain.
pour it straight into the sink because my dad cracked the sink one time.
We've already had enough of cracking sinks, haven't we?
One time, and I didn't even mean to do it. I'd put the soap dish thing up on the windowsill, and the window slammed closed, knocked it, and it landed in the sink and cracked the sink.
Really hard it landed.
Yeah.
It's quite high. The windowsill in the bathroom is above the sink, and it's kind of like
about almost a meter.
Yeah, it's about face height.
Yeah.
And so it fell down into the sink, which is like knee height or so, a little bit
It's
higher.
not knee height.
Okay.
Like waist height.
Waist height, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just went.
It did.
And she came down and she
It wasn't
looked at
even just
me.
a crack. It was a massive hole in it.
Oh, it was a huge hole.
Yeah.
She came down, looked at me and goes, "We're going to need a new sink."
I don't think I did. I think I went, "I'm really sorry." Because I hate breaking things or doing anything like that. I always feel so guilty, even though it's our house and, I just... Yeah,
Breaking stuff isn't fun.
it's not. It's really not.
But there we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on then.
Shall I do the quiz question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You nearly forgot, didn't you?
I did actually.
Yeah.
So what was it last time?
So last time it was how many stars are there on the Chinese flag?
I do not know the answer to this.
Do you want to take a guess?
7?
5.
Oh, all right then.
So you weren't too far.
No,
out
but I
of the
was wrong.
realms.
Okay.
This week the question is, what is the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet?
Oh, yeah, okay. I nearly, for some reason, gave the answer instead of not thinking. Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right then. Before I think about that too hard and speak it,
Okay.
take it away. Let's start with you, because mine actually don't have as many as you, but I have a few weird ones. But
I don't have that many.
no, but you had one about your babysitter who was not nice to you. That stuck out to me.
Oh, when I went to a childminder.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
Early childhood memories.
I wasn't going to say that one because I always feel like all the things that I talk about are just really negative. But yeah, so I went to childminders instead of like nursery and things when I was really little. And there was this one lady whose name now escapes me. My mum would probably remember. And she had a couple of other kids there at the same time. And I do remember that she had 2 huge Alsatian dogs, but they were kept like in a different room. There was a baby gate because they were massive. They were like the size of us. And she was quite strict. And I remember there was this other little girl who was tiny. She was the same age as me, but she was tiny in comparison. Like I've always been quite tall. and quite like sturdy.
Yeah.
And she was this little tiny girl. And I can't remember the exact reason now, but I think she'd wanted a toy or something that I had. There was some kind of disagreement, I guess, between us. And she told the lady, the carer, whatever, that I had hit her. So as punishment, I got put outside. Well, first of all, she smacked me, and then she put me outside in the hallway, and I had to sit in the hallway in like a sort of timeout. And I was too scared to tell my mum that she'd smacked me, because we weren't a smacking family. Like, my parents did not smack me. Yeah, and I was too scared to tell her because I thought I'd get in trouble. Because
that's not how this works.
No, I know. But when you're like, I think I must have been 3. So when you're that little, and that's always been my personality, to be like, oh, I'm the one that's going to get in trouble. So I didn't tell her until I was, I don't know, like an adult. And my mum was absolutely furious that she did not know this. Because my mum would not have stood for anybody. Well, my dad neither, actually. Putting their hand on their child. So yeah, that's probably a not very nice early memory.
When I heard that, I was livid.
Yeah.
Did you have a less obnoxious one that you can think of?
I did this morning when I was thinking about, though. I spent so long like trying to put together all the other stuff for today that I failed to actually think. Oh no, I do have one.
Okay.
So when I was like the first place that I remember us living in, which was a flat in Tufnell Park, and we had a little kitten called Mog, and we got her around my 2nd birthday, I think. So I would have been probably around the same age of 3 again. And it was Easter, and my dad had left a little trail of Easter. Well, I say my dad, it was the Easter Bunny.
Right.
The Easter Bunny had left a little trail of eggs from my door going all the way down the hallway, round the corner into the living room.
Right.
And we all woke up in the night hearing this like bashing around and running about, and came out of the bedroom. The cat was chasing the eggs, because obviously they're like little balls, aren't they?
Yeah.
Chasing them up and down, whacking them against the walls like little ping pongs.
Having a whale of a time.
Yeah, she was having a great time.
Not eating any though.
No. She wasn't eating them, just chasing them.
I see.
But yeah,
That's quite funny.
probably one. Yeah. And one really bizarre one that I have from the same flat is walking into the living room, holding my doll. I had like a little dolly that actually was called Alice, funnily enough. And I had a paper cut in between my middle and my ring finger. And it was the most painful thing.
Of course it is.
That I can remember.
Terrible place to have it.
It was so painful. And I remember looking down and seeing this paper cut and being like, why do you hurt so much?
They suck.
They really do. And it was just such a random memory that I just it comes into my head every now and then. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Paper cuts are actually the worst.
They are. But isn't it really weird, the most bizarre things that you remember?
Yeah. So mine, talking of bizarre, because it's a completely nothing memory as well, is I was playing with whatever toys I was playing with in the bedroom on the floor. I remember sitting cross-legged as I used to. And well, I'll tell you why in a minute. I know the age I was. My mum was doing something in the living room, and I got off the floor and I went into the living room, and we had really, really tall sofas, such that as a child, the sides would be about chin height to me. So I used to sort of glomp onto the sides and lift my feet up and just like swing there. And because I was light, it didn't ruin them. So she never told me not to. But I remember doing that. And I said to my mum, how old am I? And she said, you're 3. And apparently I was so shocked at this. I was like, 3? And she's like, yeah,
so cute.
3. And then I don't know if I sat on the floor in the living room or if I went back to my toys or something. But that memory just sticks with me. I don't know why I was so shocked about being 3. But Yeah, that's my earliest memory that I can think of, and it baffles me as to the mundanity of it, whatever. But it's something I've never forgotten.
But that's the thing. I think a lot of childhood memories, or just memories, are really mundane and just random.
Yeah.
Completely random.
I also remember my 6th birthday. I want to say it's my 6th birthday because that week my great-grandmother had baked a cake. She was still alive then. And I had gone to Ireland on a ferry with Chelsea Adventure Playground, as it was then. I don't know if they're still around. But a whole bunch of us went away for a week to either County Cork or County Clare. I know they're different places. I don't know which it was, but it was one of those places. So we took a minibus and drove it onto the ferry, and it was overnight, and then we rented a place or something. But what I remember is that they had organised a band, an Irish band, to come play. But I was extremely ill for whatever reason on that day. So I remember spending the entire of my birthday on the sofa. Everybody's partying around, eating my great-grandmother's cake, and I am just zonked on the sofa, completely out of it.
That's so miserable on your birthday.
It is.
You missed all the celebrations.
I took a tape recorder and I recorded it, and I don't have the tape anymore. It's a shame because I'd love to have heard Little Me. But I remember that one of the helpers there was this Scouse lady called Patricia, and she helped out at the Adventure Playground. And there was a bunch of stuff. I don't remember any of the kids or anything that we went with, just Patricia. I also stayed at her house once, which you could do in the 80s. You can't do that now. For a few days. It was really cool. And yeah, mad stuff.
Safeguarding.
What? Safeguarding? What's this? Yeah,
Yeah,
no one did
80s.
that in the 80s. It was a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I stayed at one of the other helpers, actually, a lady called Maria. She was working at Chelsea Adventure Playground as well. And, you know, everybody seemed fine with it at the time. It's weird to look back, isn't it? To think about how things were very, very different. Because you just would not do that now at all.
No.
Seems freaky.
Okay, I have one more
Yes.
before I'm done.
Tell us.
I can't quite think how old I would have been. I want to say maybe 6, 7, something like. I don't know if my sister was born yet. Maybe 7, 6, something like that. And I'd gone to France to stay with my grandparents in the holidays, and we were going in the evening with a couple, their friends, in the car up the mountain. We were driving up the mountain to look at, to see the fireworks, because there were always fireworks.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it was some event or something that they were having. So we were going to drive up the mountain. But when you're driving up a mountain, you have to go round it.
Yeah.
So it's like round and round and round and round. And I have always got incredibly car sick, really, really badly. And
yeah, and you gave it to Alice. I never get car sick.
no, I know. Count yourself lucky. So I don't know, maybe they didn't give me a travel sick pill or whatever, just assumed I would be okay. It wasn't a hugely long drive, but we drove around and round and round and round, and I don't think we'd even got there, and the guy who was driving us was driving so fast. He was just absolutely like a crazy driver, and I threw up all over his car. And so we had to come back. We came back and we were
reeking of sick.
Yeah, I know. It's lovely, isn't it? We came back and we were parked outside the block where they lived. Super fancy, super nice. And my grandma took me out of the car and we were going upstairs. And she didn't particularly... Well, she did like the couple, like the husband. I think his name was Bernard. But I think she was really annoyed at the way he'd been driving. So she kind of did the, oh dear, what a shame that I had puked over the car. But then as we kind of went off upstairs, as she took me off upstairs, it was kind of like, ha ha ha, her breath. Well, he shouldn't have been driving like that, should he?
Snarky.
Yeah. And my grandpa had to stay downstairs and help him clean the car while my grandma ran me a bath. And they had this really cool round bath.
Oh, nice.
It was so cool.
I think I saw one of those
and it
once.
was massive. Well, certainly when I was a child, it was absolutely huge. So it would take ages to fill up. So we wouldn't have a bath very often.
No.
But because of what had happened, she ran me this huge bubble bath. And yeah, I just remember kind of like floating around in this, and she was very obviously, because even at that age I knew that she was obviously quite pleased that I had thrown up all over this man's car. Because you can't blame a child, can you?
You can't blame a child.
You can't blame a child when they get sick.
Nope.
So yeah.
And your grandmother, what was her name?
Her name was Kirsten.
Like you?
Yeah, so I'm named after her. But everybody called her Kiki.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would have been nice to meet her. It would have been fun.
Yeah. It would have.
So what we did is I put out a call on Mastodon, where you can follow me if you want to, and you too, for other people's childhood memories. So we have a few of those because I wanted to get some input. So if your name's in this list, thank you for participating.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start off with Jason Smith.
Yeah.
And he has sent a couple, I think.
He did.
So we have the first one. One of my earliest recollections involves birthdays. To understand this, you have to know that my birthday is in early May, my mum's is in early June, and my dad's is in early to mid-July. So this would probably have been in 1982 when I turned 4. Probably on my dad's birthday. I remember having a vague thought that we seemed to be singing Happy Birthday a lot lately. I didn't know what the song or the words meant, but I just knew we seemed to be singing it quite often of late.
Yeah, I can understand that actually.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's funny, isn't it, though? Because when you're little, you don't really know what birthdays mean.
No, they're just a thing that happens.
They're just a thing, you just get loads of presents. And I think sometimes it can be really confusing for kids then when it's someone else's birthday.
Yes.
And they're like, well, why did they get presents and I don't get presents?
Nope.
But yeah.
That's a fun one.
That is. And then his other one, another early recollection happened when I was probably 4 or 5. I don't remember. Anyway, I had just come home from the preschool program I was in at the time, got off the bus, went into the house. Apparently mum was off doing something else. I have no idea where dad was and don't remember who brought me into the house, etc. Anyway, I'm walking around and stumble upon a vacuum cleaner someone had obviously left out. And of course, it's plugged in. Not that I knew anything about that sort of thing then. Here's a nice inviting metal thing. Let's push it. Of course, the vacuum starts up and it's loud and I'm scared because I don't know how to turn it off. I push down on the metal button thing to turn it on. Maybe I'll pull it up to turn it off, but that doesn't seem to be working. Luckily, mum comes to the rescue.
Oh, those things are scary, very noisy.
Well, it is if you don't know what it is and you don't expect the sudden roar of it, coming to life.
That actually reminds me of, I must have told this in the previous episode already, about me being in a buggy and the motorbike starting up right next to my head.
When we talked about sounds and things.
And I kicked the thing off and I cried like a mad person.
Yeah.
Because it was so loud by my head.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, man. Yeah, that brings back memories.
Scary.
Yeah, for sure. Not nice.
So then we have Patrick. And again, I think we've got a couple from Patrick, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one, when I was around 4 or 5, I used to love defeating child locks. I recall thinking I was cool because I figured out how to get out of the little door of a child watch place thing I was at. I also, unsurprisingly, learned how loud the alarm of the emergency exit door was there. Somehow, I knew it wasn't nice to continue doing that, even though I enjoyed the loud noise. So I didn't. But I did continue to open and close the child-locked door a bunch of times. My parents say I was well known for doing that sort of thing. I'd eventually grown up to want to talk on the intercom as much as possible, so someone showed me the phone and where the intercom button was so I could talk on it. Best experienced in the pool using the wall-mounted phone there because amazing reverb.
Yeah, reverb in pools and tiled places is always quite fun. And actually, that reminds me of a not childhood memory. When I was in Germany in 2018, my friend took me under this bridge, and if you clap, it would come back at you. It was an amazing sound. It was really cool. And for the Germans who may be listening, the place is Trachtal Park in Berlin. There's a really nice I guess called an underpass, where you can walk under the bridge, and you stand at one end of it and clap, and it comes back at you like a forceful. It's really cool.
Yeah. But Patrick, I'm sorry, but you sound like a childcare provider's worst nightmare of trying to constantly unlock and escape, and that would be terrifying, wouldn't it, for them?
But it also proves that the child lock wasn't very
Well, yeah, that's true.
clever.
Yeah.
So we blame the child lock as well.
Of course. Absolutely.
Rubbish.
Okay, so then we also have from Patrick. I don't know which of these is my actually earliest memory.
That's hard to read, isn't it?
That was really hard. I think I tripped over the words there. Two from around the same time. One of them I know now was from late 1985 when I was about a year old. That's crazy to me to remember something when you're a year.
Yeah, that's
Like,
impressive.
that's really early. My babysitter would sit me down at her upright piano and play stuff, which I managed to pick out. I specifically remember being fascinated with the A flat below middle C key one day. So now the entire year of 1985 is... this word is so hard to say.
Synesthetically,
That's the one.
I figured.
Thank you. On A flat, among other things.
I can understand that. When a whole year becomes like an idea. Yeah.
That's so interesting, though.
Goes back to our synesthesia episode.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's episode 20, but don't.
Also, from around that time, I remember the theme song from The Young and the Restless playing, which was around lunchtime, and a smell of soup.
Actually, yeah. You know
They
what?
like go together, don't they?
Yeah, because smells, they can really
Smells are
trigger
really,
memories.
really, yeah. Actually, my sister and I were talking the other day about the smell of the chicken noodle soup specifically, that we used to call her Auntie Annette. She wasn't our auntie. She was actually...
Was she the cleaner lady?
Yeah, she
I
used
met
to
her once.
clean from my... Yeah, she was at the wedding. So she used to clean and sort of do a bit of housekeeping and stuff for my grandparents before I was even born, like way, way before.
Yeah.
And then she sort of was like a family friend, I guess. And so occasionally, if we needed, sort of babysitting or whatever, we would go there to her house, and she would always make us chicken noodle soup with thick slices of white bread with loads of butter, and it just, brings back those memories. We both have the exact same memory of that.
That's so cool, even though
I
it's
get
7
the
years
smell of soup.
apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now that brings up, it's funny talking about these things, they pop up, And I think I've told you this before as well. My mum cooking what I think were sardines in the kitchen on a Sunday. And I don't know if it's Match of the Day or Grandstand, one of those. Music playing from the living room TV.
Yeah.
Both BBC programs, I believe. So the smell of whatever that was, if I smelt it, I would know.
It would bring back.
And the music playing as well. And she was cooking lunch. So all of those things just kind of pop into my mind as a childhood. I don't know how old I would have been, but I know I was ambulatory. So, maybe 5, 6 kind of years. Yeah.
It's funny.
So crazy.
So I will go back. So we have, now we might be pronouncing this wrong, but
Tell
we
us.
think it's Kalia.
It's a lovely name. I just don't know how to say it.
I feel like that's how you say it, but if I'm pronouncing it wrong, then I'm really sorry. They have a few that they've sent. So we have sitting on a tiled floor of my old house. This would have been before we moved when I was 3, so I had to be 1 or 2 years old at whatever time this very nondescript thing happened. I remember literally nothing at all about the house other than it had tile floor with big, very tactile tile squares. And I remember nothing at all about the day other than I was sitting on the tile floor for literally no reason.
Yeah, you see, these happen.
Yeah, just a little flicker of a memory.
What causes the brain to think or to remember these and to hold those things in when you forget like major family events or something?
Well, quite. And what causes the brain to just throw them in at random, usually inconvenient times?
When you're half asleep and you don't care.
Yeah, or when you're trying to focus on something else and then suddenly your brain is just like ping, 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 and it's throwing all those crazy moments at you and you're like, I don't need to be thinking about sitting on the floor right now.
Right now, yeah. All of that.
So next, this was also at my old house, maybe. I can't remember exactly where this was, but I had an alphabet toy thing that you could press buttons and it makes sounds, kind of your typical ABC learning toddler toy, except I wasn't using it for its intended purpose. Instead, I was turning it on and off over and over for some reason, and eventually it glitched out and made a really loud, screamy, scratchy noise. No idea if this was due to dying batteries or to the on-off thing causing a glitch.
Yeah, circuit bending.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that.
You
and
sent it into a frenzy.
Patrick would have done the same. Talking clocks were renowned for this. If the batteries were dying, you could, break the circuit very briefly and get them to repeat numbers or do really weird things. And my friend Sebi and I did this in school. We were probably like 9, 10 years old. One Saturday or Sunday afternoon when nothing else was going on. And he had a clock with dead batteries, and I was doing that. And for some reason, I'm pretty sure I managed to make the clock say airlines. The clock could not say airlines in real life. It did not have the samples to say that. But somehow it made a thing, and it said airlines.
So strange.
And it stuck with us, and we laughed like loons.
Wow.
It was great.
And then the last one here. This last one was definitely at my new house. So I was probably 3 at the time. I was sitting on the floor with a giant toy piano. And for some reason, I also think the batteries on this thing were dying. I turn it on and it starts buzzing very loudly. It actually sounded like a giant buzzer. And again, I have no idea if this was because of the dying batteries or something I did to cause a glitch. I think in both of these glitch toy cases, I cried. This got a little long, but there's my story.
No, not long.
Not
It was
long at
great.
all.
It helps.
Just more proof that we remember the random things. I mean, I suppose maybe you remember those because they were a scary moment in your, little young child mind.
Apart from the tiles.
Apart from the tiles, that's true. Yeah.
And it goes back to why that?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I've just found another one from Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. You sent the most.
Yeah, I didn't read this one, did I? No. I said, I just remembered another one. Not sure when this happened, but I was in a house we left while I was 5. I was in the kitchen eating something. Apparently, I was at least somewhat hungry and remember thinking what I was eating tasted pretty good as I just kept eating it. It was in a big bag on the floor somewhere, probably in a pantry someone had left open or something. Anyway, I think it was my sister who came in and was laughing because I was eating dog food.
Okay, see the previous episode for why I think this is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
That's a nice throwback.
I think most or a lot of kids have, babies, particularly when they start crawling around and whatever, make their way to the dog bowl or dog water. Jake used to splash in the big bowl of water.
Really?
When we used to go to my parents. They had a big bowl of water for the dog and the cat. And when he started crawling, he would make a beeline for the bowl of water to go and splash in it. So we used to have to move it every time.
Of course he did.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's not as gross as,
eating it.
But
so Alice didn't do that.
Not that I remember. I think it was specifically Jake.
In all this, we forgot to ask them what they remember.
Well, I did ask Alice.
Oh, you did?
Because I didn't remember until this morning, and Jake is not a morning person, so there would have been no...
He doesn't do mornings.
You don't even really get a grunt out of him, to be honest.
He just doesn't speak.
No, he doesn't. I just had to pause then, because there's a really angry cat outside somewhere.
There is?
Can you hear it?
I can.
It's made the dogs now on high alert. But I don't think it's our cats.
It's not.
No, I don't think I need to work. Oh, they sound so mad out there.
They do.
Maybe they're fighting. It's all right, Penny. She's going to start going crazy now. Okay, so the last one we have from our listeners. God, the noise is insane. I know you guys can't hear this, but it's actually crazy. There are cats.
It's like an argument.
Yeah, like that. It's insane. We have quite a few new cats in the area, and they're all fighting for their territory. and not working out too well.
No.
Right. So the last one that we have before I do Alice's one. Oh gosh, even our cat's now come down to see what's going on. My first memory. Oh, sorry. This is from Morgan. My first memory is finding my mum's lipstick and eating the entire tube.
Oh, no.
I remember it not tasting bad, funny enough. Yes, I got in big trouble, was sent to my room, and then I discovered how to open locked doors. This is how, for the next almost 4 years living in that house, my bedroom did not have a door handle. My dad took the entire handle off because if I got sent to my room, I'd just unlock the door and come out. Once the handle was removed, you could still open the door just by putting your hand through the hole and pulling it. But little me didn't know that, lol.
Oh, gosh.
I was around 3 years old, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Penny's angry now.
Penny is angry.
So Patrick and Morgan teaming up to make the Blind Locksmith Unite company.
It's just so funny.
No lock can keep them out or in.
Yeah. So to end things, I just have a couple that Alice thought of this morning.
Yeah.
We think she was around 3 years old when this one happened, but we had my best friend Kelly and her daughter Rona over for the day.
Oh my God.
And you know what's coming.
I know what's
you
coming.
know. And while Kelly and I were in the living room with her youngest, who was a baby at the time, Willow, and Rona and Alice were in their room, in Alice's room, and they were playing with this puzzle toy thing we had that had like a thin A4 sized piece of styrofoam to protect the pieces.
Oh no.
And Rona thought it would be fun to break it apart, which they did, and created what they called snow because it fractured into teeny tiny pieces and covered everything.
Oh, it does.
For such a tiny thing. And it sticks. So even trying to hoover it up was so hard.
You've no luck.
And Alice says she remembers watching it happen and doing it and then being like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And I'm not sure I should be doing this. But yeah.
Yeah, she was a good girl, but sometimes other people and peer group pressure makes you not.
And, it was fine. It was harmless. We dealt with it. There are worse things kids can do.
Do you want to go and attend?
Okay.
While you do that, I will tell you about the time I did something I shouldn't have done. And I remember I think I was probably 6 or 7. And in my room, I had a pair of scissors. I don't know why they were in my room. But on a school night, and my friend and her daughter were over, my mum's friend and her daughter, who was my age, were over, and I cut my hair. Should not have done that.
That is shocking.
I cut a hole in my hair, not in my head.
To be honest, I think most kids at some point have cut their hair.
Yeah, but it was bad. And Sandra, who is my mum's friend from school, when they came in to take Sherelle home, my mum saw this because she hadn't seen it straight away. And she's like, you can't go to school like that. What am I going to do now? And Sandra was sort of a hairdresser, a bit. So she sat me down in the living room and actually cut it like more. Evened it out. Yeah. And the next day after school, straight to the barber's. My mum was livid.
Oh, no.
Absolutely. And quite rightly so. It was a bad thing to do.
I know. But when you're a kid, you don't have that. That's the thing, isn't it? It's the...
What happens if?
Yeah.
It was all
the
about...
aftermath. Effects.
Yes.
So one more from Alice. She remembers, again, while we were in Gloucester House, so she would have been like under 3, I think. And she said it's the first time that she tried broccoli. Oh. So she remembers us sitting at the table and it being on her plate and her trying it and then me saying, so what do you think? Do you like it? And her saying, yes, she did like it. And then apparently we all cheered and clapped.
Oh, nice.
And that's what she remembers. And broccoli is one of her favourite foods now. So it
stuck.
It stuck.
I think I remember that as well. Maybe.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny.
That is funny. Wow.
So yeah.
That's all of the memories we have for you this week.
All the memories that we have.
Please leave yours in the comments because it's really interesting to hear what you guys think. And if this triggered any thoughts of things that long forgotten, because it's easy to do that. When you hear others talk about theirs, some things may pop up in your mind. So I'd love to hear about them. But before we go, one last thing, of course. What you got for us?
I have
Stroonge news.
Stroonge news. I would say it's more stupid news. A student rescued from mountain twice in 4 days after going back to find his phone. So,
Really?
a 27-year-old Chinese student developed altitude sickness twice after climbing Mount Fuji.
Mhm.
Fuji?
I think so.
Japan's Mount Fuji. Yeah. So basically, he climbed it. He got altitude sickness. They had to call for help and he had to come and be rescued. And he then realized later on that he did not have his phone. So he decided to reclimb the mountain to find his phone. And the exact same thing happened. And he had to be rescued all over again.
You're stupid.
Very.
Okay,
And that is the
attend.
dog saying, "Let me back in."
All right. Well, while you do that, I will say thank you for listening. And if you're new here, please do like and subscribe and tell people. Because we are 36 episodes in. We've been going since September of 2024, and we're going to keep going. And, as we get nearer and nearer the cruise, there's going to be some very cool, I think, special episodes coming up. So stay tuned for those if you haven't.
Definitely more involving Jake and Alice.
Yeah,
Over that period of
they
time.
will be. They'll be in it. And I have a plan where I want to basically kind of do an audio blog of the getting to the cruise. So all kind of things. There we are then. Thanks for listening as always. Welcome or welcome back, depending on if you're new or old. And we'll see you next time, which, by the way, will be my birthday next week. All right. See you soon.
Bye.
Hello, Jakob, and welcome to the podcast. So thanks for being in the other hot seat for a change, at least briefly. Feel free to tell us your childhood memories.
One of my first childhood memories, I think I was like 2 or 3. And I was sitting on our living room floor and disassembling a tape player because I wanted to know how it works and how it makes sound.
Yeah.
So per my parents' recollection, this was one of the 5 tape players I managed to disassemble in various years of my youth for understanding how they work. Because I obviously managed to disassemble them in a manner where they weren't really usable after that, sadly.
You're terrible.
And it was the 90s, and in the culture of Estonia, tape players weren't something you can, just go to a nearby electronic store and buy a new one.
Yeah.
They weren't cheap and they weren't, all over the place. So I don't really know what my parents thought about that. Or another memory was me and my sister. Must have been a few years later, because my sister is 4 years younger than me. But our parents had, gone to visit their friends, and we decided, hey, let's surprise the parents when they come home. So we decided, this is a nice piece of reflective paper. I don't really know where we found it or where it came from, but we decided essentially to kind of create confetti. A handmade confetti. What could go wrong?
Everything?
Well, yeah. The experience of throwing it down the staircase was, anticlimactic.
Well, as a parent myself, I can imagine that. But, what were their thoughts on it and why weren't they happy?
Because somebody needs to clean those off and confetti goes everywhere. So we had to do that. So I think I learned that things you do have consequences.
Yeah.
Anyway, a few of those.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And if you've listened this far, thank you very much for listening.